form of a question. Are we raising a helpless generation? And we agreed that we must learn, or we must understand that we are not just parenting for the moment, but we are parenting for the future. We need to prepare them, not so much protect them. Prepare them for the future. Allow them to grow, train them in a way that they can live without us. Because a time will come when they will live without us. It may not be, maybe in the far-fetched future, it could even be when you send them to boarding school. When they hit some certain classes, and most of us now in Kenya would want our children to go to boarding school. When you send them to boarding school, you're not there, either in primary or in high school. Even when they go to university, you're not there. So if you don't prepare them now to face life in the future, then they get into some of those spaces unprepared. And if they're unprepared, naive, then it's very easy for them to fall for stuff that may not be good for their lives. We looked at a scripture yesterday in Proverbs chapter 22, and we talked about the fact that God expects us to do our bit. That the responsibility that God gives you as a parent, number one, is to steward. You're but a steward of that child, taking care of that child on his behalf. And then number two, he expects you to train. And training is not an event, it's a process. It is inculcating values. It is modeling a lifestyle, being an example to them, speaking when you're supposed to speak, just to make sure that you bring to them that which you'd want to see happening in their lives as they grow up. Today we want to look at how do we parent this generation in this very interesting age, this social media age. How do we parent this generation in a social media age? Again, I want Johnny to play a clip for us, if you can. One of those clips that some of us look for when we are adventuring on the World Wide Web.
What's wrong with kids these days? I can't really tell you what's wrong with kids, but I can tell you what the hell wrong with parents. See, sometimes it's the parents. You know what I'm saying? They always trying to protect their kids' feelings. Have you noticed that lately right here? Now they got these things called participation trophies, where if your child just participate, he get a trophy for just showing up. But kids need to know that when you grow up, you ain't finna get no trophy. You might as well start making adjustments now. I don't believe in that. If parents really want to protect your kids, stop pushing your kids into things that they not good at. Then you ain't got to worry about a participation trophy. You know your fat son can't run. No, why is he on the track team? Now he depressed every Friday because he done took last place. I'm just being real with you. And get out of these coaches' faces mad at the coach because your baby ain't in the game. Why is little Tommy not playing? Tommy ain't playing because Tommy ain't caught a ball in 3 years. Then the coach finally do put little Tommy in the game. Now they losing. Now you in the coach face want to know why we losing games. Because we got little fat Tommy in left field. That's why we losing games. All right. Let me put it, because some of y'all look shocked. You're not supposed to talk about a baby like that. You ain't had to deal with kids like that. I got 7 kids. I got 5 grandkids. I deal with them all my time. I done just raised my kids. Let me put it this way I can. Some kids are made for playing ball. Some kids can ace a math test. Some kids is brilliant as scientists. Some kids is born to be in the band. Some kids just supposed to carry and wave the flag. That's just how God made them. It ain't nothing wrong with that. One of my daughters, long time ago, made the cheerleading team. I go to the game, I'm just watching girls getting thrown up in the air. So I just walked up to my daughter after the game. I said, baby, when they gonna throw you in the air? She said, for real, Daddy? She said, you gonna go there? You know good and well why they can't throw me in the air. She's saying if they do throw me in the air, which one of these little kids gonna be standing there to catch me when I come down? And I understood that, because that's how I raised my kids. My daughter on the cheerleading team is what's called the base. Then you got little girls on the team, that's the flyer. That's them little skinny little girls. Just sing, just sit, they all in. You can't be 5'9", 170. You ain't going in the air. I'm talking about my kids. That's how I raised my kids. Just find out what your kids do best and support that way. Just support your kids what they do best. Because you keep going along with these participation trophies, you're gonna mess around and have a 36-year-old son looking for an award just because he showed up for the third shift at Arby's. Hey, you made it to the end of this video.
I thought that was a little bit hilarious just for us to see a perspective from this gentleman. Because sometimes some of us do that. We're in an age where we look at our children and we have a preconceived idea on how these children should grow up. And sometimes we don't work out to support them, in how God wired them to be, identify how God wired them and support them in that end. We try to parent them in a different style for them to be what we think they should be. As we move on today, we'll be looking at different styles of parenting that do not work. And one of them is that really what he was alluding to. But let's get back to my notes. You see, today's generation are like the wind. They're driven in all directions. And you'd agree with that, because sometimes they come to you, this is what they're thinking. Tomorrow they're thinking something totally different. They're like the wind. You meet a typical 10-year-old, 12-year-old, 13-year-old, 15, 16. They don't have anything that they're holding on to. Anything can drive them, be it friends, be it fashion, anything can drive them. That even you get to a point where my parents are wondering, what do you do with this generation? You look at them and you're like, these are not like the children, like how we were as we were growing up as children. What do we do? You get confused and you're worried about what to do next. And when I talk about the wind, one of the pictures that comes into mind would be like a sailor in the ocean who's trying to steer a ship and rough winds come. Two options that sailor can do is either to complain about the wind or to adjust the sail so that the ship can be navigated properly. Do you know sometimes as parents we complain about the wind? Like now, some of us may complain about the wind of social media, and you and I maybe are hooked to it because you only see what is happening to the children. That's a wind. So instead of complaining about it, on the effects of this and that, is to find out what do we do to help our children navigate this world today that you may not be able to change it and take it back to how it was when you were growing up. Because you will live with social media, like it or not. And technology will keep on advancing and advancing and advancing. So don't bind it. Don't even take a phone and throw it down. I heard of a story of a son who had saved for a long time to buy a very nice phone. And then one evening, the father walks into the house and realizes the son had communicated on social media to a girlfriend. And he sees that, and the man gets mad. Instead of sitting the son down and talking to him and telling him, this is how you relate to the opposite sex, now that you've gotten to this age, he takes the phone and he crashes the phone. This is not abroad. This happened in this country. Not even in this country. This is in this city, in this neighborhood. Takes the son's phone and crashes it. And this son had saved from his pocket money and everything. And the end result were tantrums in the house. The boy, in revenge, broke everything in the house. And the father is wondering, now I broke a phone worth a few thousands. The damage this boy has caused because of anger is so much. You're like, why complain about the wind? Why complain about the effects of social media? Why react to that? Why not mentor and sit down this boy and talk to him and try and let them know this is how you navigate through seasons like this? You don't want to ride or to be in a ship that has a sailor or a captain who complains about the wind, or who throws his hands in the air and says, you know what, there's nothing I can do. Wherever the wind wants to take the ship, let it go. Or you don't want to be in a flight where the captain, when he hits turbulence, says, guys, we've hit the turbulence and there's nothing I can do, be it as it may. If we fall, we fall. You want somebody who can say, it's a turbulent period, let me do what? Let me get hold of the steering, if there's anything like that, either in a ship or in a plane, and let me steer the ship, let me steer the plane. And, courageously consoles or encourages the people and says, I am in control. And that's what you and I have got to do in a season like this. When our young people are being hit left, right, and center, don't throw your hands in the air. Be in control. Learn. Find out, what do I do to get them navigate this difficult situation? Don't throw your hands in there. Don't shout at them. Don't complain about the effects that are coming. Don't try and insulate them. Don't tell them you'll never catch a phone or you'll never watch TV, you'll never do this. You do that, you want to raise up an innocent, naive kid, not a kid who knows that this thing can have good effects and can also have bad effects. And many parents have done that because they've given up, wondering, what do we do with this generation? Let's look at their worldview. What kind of world are these young people living in today? It is a different kind of world. Let me tell you, sometimes we like telling these young children or young people that, you know what, when I was your age, this is what happened to me. Realistically, you sit and think, when you were growing up, especially if you were born in the maybe in the late 70s, early 70s, or even before then, you think when you're growing up, if you wanted to call somebody, what would you do? You'd go to a coin box. You didn't even have a phone. There was no email at some point. In fact, those people in very sophisticated offices would have an email. Pressure, the only pressure you got was from your neighbor across the block. Those are the only people that your parents would complain about, either because of how they dressed, and even the way they dressed, what they would complain about was not even bad dressing at all. Either they were having high waist. Do you remember those high waists? Maybe it's high waist, or it is, I remember there's a time, turn up. Can you imagine? Can you imagine there's a time people used to complain about long hair, high waist, turn ups, afros? Can you imagine? Just like a simple cut in the head, and parents would complain. That's what parents used to complain about. They would complain because you're watching too much TV, and you know what you used to watch? Music Time, Vioja Makamani. Can you imagine that's what they used to complain about? That was during your time. You fast forward to today, what are you complaining about? When you were growing up, there was no internet. There were no smartphones. There was no social media. Now you're dealing with a generation that does not remember a time when there was no internet or no social media. In fact, a kid as young as 2 years or 3 years, because you've gotten them used to playing games on YouTube, they even know when the bundles are finished. You give it to them, they play, and you will know the bundles are finished when they start crying. Because the thing is not doing what? The thing is not moving. And they give it to you. Do some magic, it moves, and the guys do what? You and I didn't know that when we were that age. That's the kind of world that these guys are living in. The generation winds are blowing fast and furious. Life today is like life in a pressure cooker. It's different. That's why you cannot afford to say that I was your age and I went through the same things that you went through. Friends, you never went through what they went through. So we've got to adjust and start finding out what kind of world are they in and how do we do what? How do we help them? So let's look at their world a little bit. They're living in a world that is full of speed, like I said. Full of speed. Everything is fast. Everything is at a press of a baton. You go to a supermarket, there are milk ATMs. Have you seen some of those things? Now they make food in the supermarket, Or all you need to do is to get some nicely made dough and put it in a microwave and it becomes like a chapati. Have you seen some of those things? They've cut carrots and onions and minjis, put them together, boil them. All you need to do is to go and steam them and eat. That's the life today. Everything is full of speed. Everything is fast. And because everything is fast, these children are growing up at a time thinking that anything slow is bad. That's why there's no patience at all. The word patience is foreign to them. That's the kind of world. That's the world that we've served them. And don't blame them too much. Even for us, your patience levels are smaller than they were a couple of years back. That's why you get angry too quickly. If a matatu doesn't come quickly, you get so stressed up. That's why the common word, even amongst adults, is that I am stressed. Why are you stressed? Because the matatu did not come on time. Everything is quick. They're living in a world of convenience. Everything is, I told you, you need some food. Now you can live as a bachelor very, very well. Me, before I got married, one of the things that I didn't like was to cook. Was to do what? Cooking was that one of those hard work. And then after eating, washing utensils. Oh, goodness. That was difficult. So when you're alone, you'd survive with mala and some bread. And if you want to cook, what some of us would do would gather some young people and we say, twendeni home tukakule. And I knew the guys I'm gathering, I know this one has qualities for cooking. Huyu anaweza osha vyombo. Sasa twendeni tukapi. So I know so knows how to chop those two tomatoes so well. In fact, I have a friend, names withheld, who would chop those tomatoes. You'd think he was using a ruler. Chop them very well and cook them very well. And we eat, and then there are those who would say, mi nitaosha vyombo. If I was a bachelor today, life would be very easy. I would walk into a supermarket and I say, I want this cooked fish already. Everything is made up for me. It's a life of convenience. Everything is very convenient. That's the kind of world they're living in. No wonder hard becomes difficult to them. Nobody wants to. You tell them do something and they complain. It will always be, this is too hard. You look at that small girl, that little boy in your house. I want you to move that chair. I want you to, Mom, this is too hard. This is too difficult. Because they're used to a world of convenience. That's the kind of world that they're living in. And it's important to appreciate and find out how do we now help them move through this world. It's a world full of entertainment. And entertainments are on all gadgets. Everything that they hold has become an entertainment gadget. And we've enabled it. We've bought them gadgets. You know that tablet that you bought them is just for entertainment. So there's entertainment everywhere. Nowadays, you walk into a matatu, there's entertainment. Into your car, there's entertainment. The house, there are different kinds of entertainment. And because they're living in a world full of entertainment, then boring becomes bad. Everything, and that's the buzzword. You put them in a place for a few minutes, they say, Mom, I am bored. This is boring, I am bored. You take them to some place, they're like in half an hour, when are we going home? I am bored because they want entertainment. They cannot stay in a space whereby either it's too much talk or there are no games that are helping them, take care of that entertainment thing inside of them. Boring becomes bad. But let me tell you, what sometimes they don't understand is that boring is not that bad. Because sometimes you need some boredom for you to grow well. Yeah, you need some alone time for you to grow. Life is not a matter of, fun every other time. There are times you need some boredom to grow well. They are living in a world of entitlement, where I think either because of upbringing and how we brought them up, they've gotten to think that the world owes them everything. So it is a world of me, myself, and I. You see little kids playing. You've never seen selfishness to that level, especially when you give them stuff. They'll fight for stuff. You're wondering, where did you learn selfishness? In the womb? Now as they grow up, they feel, I need this, mommy needs to do it, daddy needs to do it. If you say, wait a little bit, it's a problem. It's a world. They become self-entitled. And I said, sometimes we've enabled it as parents by how we bring them up. And that guy on that clip alluded to it. Can you imagine nowadays, you get a certificate for participation that enhances that entitlement, desire, and need inside yourself. It is an overconnected generation. It's like they live half of their life, if not almost all their life, on the social space. These children can stay on TV from morning to evening. They can work on your phone until the battery is off, and they take the next one, and the next one, and the next one. It's so overconnected that they know stuff at their age while you're the one who owns that phone. You don't even know anything about it. They know more than you know. And like I said, reason? Because they were born during that space. They are called the digital generation. Because they're overconnected, they are an overconnected generation, they respond in two ways when they're overwhelmed. Two ways that this generation responds when they're overwhelmed. One of the things that they do, they will push back and get lost in a virtual world of online fantasy. When things are tough, lock themselves in their room, live on the online platform, fantasizing, either on games, social media. It could be texting, it could be Facebook, it could be Snapchat. In fact, Facebook now, they left it to the older people. So it could be Instagram, it could be Snapchat. That's where they are. And do all their things, hide themselves in that world. And to them, this is like a coping mechanism. So things are tough, they're not understanding each other, or they are quarreling with the parents, or things are not working, there are issues at school. I'm not impressing these people that I'm seeing, so what do? Let me go on the social media space. And one of the things that they will do sometimes, they may use pseudonyms, not their real names, and just do stuff to impress out there. Just to show people, you know what? And convince themselves, I'm still with it on the social media space. That their life is governed or determined by the many likes that they have. So addictive that if they take a snap, a photo or a picture of themselves, post it on Snapchat, they'll go back and check how many likes are on it, or Instagram. If the likes are not as many as they expected, sometimes one would go back and change their dressing and take another one. It doesn't work, go back, change, and take another one. If the likes are still very few, depression creeps in. What is wrong with me? There's a song I've been struggling to play for us. I don't know if Johnny will play for us. This is an interesting group. It's a group called Chain Smokers. Very interesting. It's not a Christian group, but they did something and did a song on the trap that this generation has put themselves in. It's a generation it's a group that is part of this generation. And one of the things that they said, you know what? As a generation, we've created a prison for ourselves. We've put ourselves in prison. We are all sick. In fact, they call the generation the sick boys. We are all sick. We're in a prison that we created for ourselves. That they're in a digital prison. And life is determined by how many likes that they have. It's an approval addiction. And that's where parents need to come in and start creating different spaces and helping them navigate through that. Number two, whether they cope or they deal, is that they try to measure up. They push themselves to be a super kid on the online platform. Because I can't impress people at home, they may be a super child on the online platform. I want to measure up. I want to show people that this is the kind of person I am. I will fake it until I make it. I'll post. If it's pictures, just to come up with an impression, I will do that. They strive for perfection, approval from their friends, and they fake it all their way. Why? This pressure. And you may think it's just only with this generation. You come to yourself. You think about your peers, how they pressure you as a parent, especially when you visit somebody's home and they have new curtains. Huh? And they have? Especially our mothers go for chamas. And they find, this mama, when she was hosting our chama, really put her foot forward. The seats are new, the curtains are new, the plates are new. What do you go home and do? You go and change. Where did you buy the curtains? And you go and do what? And change all the curtains. And you feel even for the wazes in the house, for the husbands in the house. So when your wife comes home and says, the first thing she'll say, hey, we were in this meeting. They are very good curtains. You have to really know how to decode that message. Whether it is appreciating her curtains or whether it's a hint. You need to buy new curtains. Very good seats, you need to be very sharp enough and know, how do I decode this? So this peer pressure, this impression is in all generations, not just these ones, but for these ones, because they don't have the muscle to hold on to pressure from outside, it becomes very intense on them. Are you understanding me? So what are the effects of social media on our children? What are the effects for the social media? One, like I said earlier, they spend most of their time on the screen. And reason being is because they don't remember a time when there was no social media. What does this do? They will read less. They read books. They don't read books. Or they'll read less because they cannot stand longer pieces. And what that happens, what that brings out, it brings out children who are not well developed, not exposed, their brains don't get well developed, even their language is messed up. Why? Because they spend their time, to them it's better to watch than to do what? Than to read. And we'll be looking at what do we do to get them to realize, listen, it's not just the watching, but the reading helps sharpen, expand your brain to an array of opportunities out there. They have less experience with the in-person social interaction. Their social skills are at their lowest. They have difficulty with face-to-face communication. Look at them. If they don't have a gadget, they can't communicate. And their communication is very interesting. Even the little ones. A day in my house, my daughter with her cousins, I find them all seated watching TV, and I switch it off. And all, as if it was a reflex action, shouted, "Why have you done this?" And I'm like, "You guys talk." And they all say together, "We cannot, we don't know how to. We don't have stories." So no social skills. That's why you go to a restaurant, there's a family eating in a restaurant, eating out in a restaurant, and there are either two children, their parents, and there's no talking. Everybody's on their gadget. They have no social skills. It impacts on how they can respond to an interview. It impacts on how they can relate with people either in a workplace or out there. Why? Because they are spending too much time on the screen. And I think that's why a couple of weeks ago, Bishop gave us a bag. How many of us are using the bag, by the way? Or you gave it to the children and said, "Nyinyi ndio mna shida. Mnaweka simu zenyu hapa. Mimi nimeshatobo, mimi sina shida." I think that's why he gave us those gadgets, so that it can enhance communication and start helping our children to talk and to learn how to communicate at home. They're used to something called external stimulation that enhances an addictive lifestyle. They are always looking for approval from outside. And that's why they love the likes. You talk to somebody, you're like, how do you think, what makes you think your project is very successful? I said, "You know what, I posted something online and I have about 500 likes. In 3 weeks, I'm sure I'll have about 1,000 to 2,000 likes." So you're like, how do you translate the likes into some tangible stuff? Because to them, once you press like, because of that desire, that thirst and hunger for approval, external stimulation. External stimulation. Let's look at parenting styles that will not work. Let's look at parenting styles that will not work as we parent this generation. Number one is what I call the helicopter parenting. Again, 4 styles, I think 3 that I got from Generation IY, buy that book. And then 2 that are not part of that book that I'll give to us. Go buy that book. Helicopter parenting. Helicopter parenting, it's sociologists who came up with this. This kind of parents are parents who hover around their children like helicopters. They love to control. They want to know where their children are every other time. These are the kind of parents that want to take them. Are you going to see your friend? I will take you. Are you going to school? I will drive you. So your child finishes high school and they tell you, I'm going for a doulos camp, and you cannot sleep for the whole of the week. Or a teens camp, you can't even sleep. So you keep on calling the teens leaders and finding out, are they okay? Can you give them the phone? I talk to them. Oh, it's the Sunday school camp. If our Sunday school teachers say they cannot carry phones in camp, you get worried. So you say, let me get a number of one of the teachers. And you'll call 3 times a day. In the morning, can I talk to her? In the afternoon and in the evening, can I talk to her? They grow up, do their Form 4, they're going to university. You take them to university. You drive them and you say, let's go and see where you'll be staying. So you get to their hostel, the room. You even try the doors. Are they okay? Is the window okay? You know? Can somebody break in? Are the lights done well? You drop them in there, you go home, and you make calls every time. And these are not calls, you make WhatsApp calls. And this is why you are making WhatsApp video calls, because you want to know where they are. You know? Blood sugar goes up. That's helicopter parenting. You're not allowing them to be a little bit independent. Number 2 parenting style that will not work is what we call karaoke parenting. And karaoke is more of a fun kind of thing, disco, or for those of our generation who may not understand that. These are parents who want to be like their children. Their main goal is that I want to be their friend, which is not bad. So you'll do stuff like them. You'll give in to everything because you want them to like you. You're not able to separate or to realize that there are times when you need to be a friend and there are times when you need to parent. Because as a friend, you'll have all the fun that you want, but as a parent, you'll instill discipline when discipline is needed. All right? The other kind of parenting that will not work is dry cleaner parents. You know what happens in the dry cleaner? You put on clothes, they get dirty. What do? You take them to the dry cleaner for them to do what? To wash. These kind of parents will be like, I gave birth to you, but I can't handle you. Where is the teens pastor? Where is the children's pastor? Where is the youth pastor? So it's either the pastor or the teacher. You surrender the kids to people out there. You abdicate your responsibility. So just come home, but you're like, let other people take care of these children. Can you imagine a parent would call a pastor and say, can you talk to my child? What did they do? They say this and this is what they did. And then they say, at the end of the call, and please don't tell them I am the one who did what? Who told you. So they're like, the child would rather feel that the pastor is bad, but not the mother. The mother wants to maintain her status in the house. Please don't tell her I'm the one who told you that. You deal. In fact, they even say, uo mtoto wako, deal with your child. Ati nini, unajua ule mtoto wako amenisumbua sana. Hebu shughulikia mtoto wako. And you're telling that to a pastor. Na huyu pastor pengine hata ni single, hata pengine ana mtoto rika ya huo mtoto. Deal na huo mtoto wako. Dry cleaner parents. You cannot parent this generation if you're a dry cleaner parent. You must be involved. Digital parents, digital babysitters is the next that style of parenting. What do? To pay or to cover for the time that we are absent is get them all the gadgets that they need. So get them theirs, and when you hit home, this kid comes running and jumping on you. The first thing that you do is you get your phone and you do what? You give it to them. Mpatie simu atanyamaza. Shesikia kitu kama hiyo? Kimpatia simu atafanya nini? Atanyamaza. Digital babysitters. Wama ni TV. Hata mwekee ingine kwa room yake. Things will be cool. So what you're doing, you've allowed the information superhighway or the internet to parent your child. And sometimes you meet parents who are very proud saying, hey, my child knows even where YouTube is. Not a bad thing, but is it really a good thing at the end of the day? What are they watching on YouTube? It is because we are abdicating our responsibility to the digital world. To the digital world. The last one I'll give you is what we call the volcano parents. Volcano parents are parents who never achieved some stuff in life and they want their children to achieve what they could not be able to achieve. To live out their life. They want to live their life through their children. So you wanted to be a doctor, it never worked, so you must force your child to become a what? To become a doctor. You wanted to be an accountant, it never worked, so your child must be. And that's why if you ask our teens leaders here and our teens pastor, they will tell you one of the complaints of these children is parents forcing them to do what they don't want to do. Because you want to live your life through them. So how do we help this generation, finally, balance social media? How do we help them balance this? How do we help them balance all this? Number one, it has to start with me as a parent. You've got to check if you as a parent, if as a parent you are hooked to social media. Maybe the reason why they are hooked to it is because they are following after my example and your example. You see, there's somebody who said, we teach what we know, but we reproduce who we are. So you can be so busy teaching them what you want them to become, but they will always be like you. They have your genes. They see the model in the house. Are you hooked as a parent? And I'll go back. I think that's why our bishop gave us bags and say, guys, when you get to the house, deposit your phones. And all of us are guilty of this. We need to do that. Because if we don't control it ourselves, we can't expect our children to do what? To control it. Are you hooked as a parent? Are you addicted as a parent? Are you? Number two, is it possible to allow your children to be children and allow them to get out into normal environments? Get them into normal environments. Oh, staki mtoto atoke nje. Anaishi 5th floor, inako. Lakini hawezi toka wapi? Nje. Na hiyo space ya nyumba, akitaka kurun kwa hiyo space, in half an hour, amemaliza. Watoto wenzake wanacheza wapi? Pale chini. Hautaki hata atoke nje. So what do? The only thing that can occupy his or her time are gadgets. Can we create some gadgetless moments for these children? Can we do that? And allow them to play. Wacha kapeleke, sijui kama taya bado ziko. Wacha kachafuki huko chini. Let them play outside. Let them see different things out there. And help them balance. You start doing this at an early age. By the time they grow up, you'll be instilling stuff in them that will follow them to that point. All right? Gadgetless moments. And gadgetless moments will be times when you're in the house and you say, at this time, starting with me, no gadgets. No gadgets. And then let's move very fast because of time. Check for signs of addiction and offer them other alternatives. And nowadays, it's very easy. What's the first thing that they hold when they wake up? What's the last thing in their hands when they wake up? What takes most of their time? You'll know whether they're addicted or not. And I want to say this as we bring this to a close. Listen, not that all social media is wrong. There's some good benefits of social media. There are people who've made careers out of social media. But how do we balance it so that it doesn't take you and make you a captive? Are you understanding me? So don't go there and say, all these things. No. There's some people who've made careers. It has some good things. But that which comes with some good things also comes with some negative things. Check for signs of addiction and offer them alternatives. Take them out to experience other things. Allow them to play with their peers. And then establish a mentor-mentee relationship with them. That will be very, very important. Establish a mentor. There's no better person to mentor your child like yourself. And this is done relationally. Spend time with them. It is best done organically, where it is not a structured thing that tunamwambia saka hapo. Point number 1, andika. Point number 2, andika. No, take some time and talk. Let them ask you questions. Respond. Let them see how you eat, how you walk, how you react when you're on the road and somebody bullies you. Let them see that. We will help them balance the social media influence. What do we do to effectively parent them today? I'll repeat what we said yesterday. When you do this, we must learn, we must prepare them, and not just protect them. Relate to them, don't just dispense rules. Build a relationship. I normally say rules minus relationship leads to rebellion. Don't just dispense rules. Hawezi fanya hii ni nyumba yangu. As you bring out rules, weave that with a relationship. Build some friendship. Are we together? Like I said again, always know you're raising a future generation, future parents. And lastly, don't be a helicopter parent. Don't prepare the path for them. Prepare the child for the path. Don't be that parent that goes clearing the bush so the child can come and pass through. Tell the child there's a bush, and this is the implement for you to do what? To clear that bush. Let them clear the bush for themselves. That's how we effectively are able to balance and help these children navigate through very difficult transition in life. And lastly, is it possible for you as a parent to come up with a rite of passage for your child, especially when they're turning from 12 to 13 years? That's a mile marker in their life. Think of a rite of passage that will demand you're there for them. You're able to speak into their lives, into the next season that they're getting into, the challenges they're going to face. Is it possible for you to do that? Are we together? Are we together, church? Make sure that you come up with the rites of passage for your child. Amen? Amen? I want to stop there because of our time. We'll pick it up tomorrow. We will pick it up tomorrow. When we pick it up tomorrow, we'll be looking at some of the mistakes that we make as parents in raising this generation. Mistakes that we need to avoid. Amen? Let's stand together.